The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Lifestyle. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico and Haan, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. Good morning. I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater. It's 76 degrees, clear skies, and everything is good here.
This is the time of year that I love. Hey, please make sure you subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter twice a month, $10 a month into your inbox. News you can use with helpful links to great information.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let me get this in the right, so you can see the whole thing. Yeah, and, folks, the number here is 877-927-6648. You can always reach us after hours, of course, through the email at Nico or Paige at TFNN.com.
That's right.
So I want to talk a little bit about the water and different things that are happening to some of the precious commodities that we have.
I wish that we had Robbie lined up for this, because, boy, this latest news coming out, plastic fibers found in tap water around the world. This was a study that was discussed in The Guardian this last early part of September, and the average number of fibers found in water is just staggering. Many of these plastics that are ending up in our oceans are now ending up in our municipal waters.
Yeah, scores of tap water samples from more than a dozen nations were analyzed by scientists for an investigation by Orb Media, who shares the finding with The Guardian. Over 83% of these samples were contaminated with the plastic fibers. I remember last year we were talking, and I think years before that, we were talking about that big slab of plastic in the
It's like
Pacific
a continent
Ocean.
in itself.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
1,000 miles across or something. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but that's a huge thing. And it's sitting there in the area of the Pacific where the winds really don't blow, where the doldrums kind of are. And it's out of the shipping lane, so nobody's really bothered by it too much. But if you go through there, and there have been several expeditions in there, seeing this plastic, and it's been there for years, probably 20, 30 years, and it just keeps accumulating. Now, these things do break down, apparently.
Well, we think plastic hangs on forever, but there is some breakdown. And, when they took a look at this report, just a summary, the U.S. had the highest contamination rate at 94%, with plastic fibers found in tap water sampled at sites including Congress buildings, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's headquarters, and Trump Tower in New York. Yeah. And then that was followed by European nations in the UK, Germany, and France. But this new analysis indicates the ubiquitous extent of microplastic contamination in the global environment, Nico.
Yeah, precious work has been largely focused on plastic pollution in the ocean, which suggests people are eating the microplastic by way of contaminated seafood. So not only is it getting in the water, but
our sea creatures are eating it, and by way of breakdown, we're getting that.
Yeah, so this is another reason to be really, really careful in where we get our food, where you get your water, and how to get this stuff out of the water. Now, with the new water system that we have from Therogoods, this takes it out.
Well, it removes a lot of the chemical contaminants. So that's the real cool thing. I mean, with this patented 8-stage water filter. And, whether you get the Therogoods water system, guys, look for something that's got the features, and that's the whole thing. For the money, we just find that that system was designed to make clean water affordable because we all need it. Here's some more information. A separate small study in the Republic of Ireland released in June found microplastic contamination in a handful of tap water and well samples, and we don't know what the health impact is. For the reasons we should follow the precautionary principle and put enough effort into it now so we can find what the real risks are. See, I always hear these kind of like generic statements. I call them gray water statements. It's kind of like, we don't know what the risks are. Let's try and figure it out. Well, petrochemical plastics. We've already know that those crunchy, cheap plastic bottles literally contain over 24,000 plasticized chemicals in them. This just can't be good, folks.
Haan said there are two principal concerns: very small plastic particles and the chemical or pathogens that microplastic can harbor. If the fibers are there, it's possible that the nanoparticles are there too that we cannot measure. Once they are in the nanometer range, they really penetrate cells, which means they can penetrate organs, and that should be worrying.
So that's exactly right. There's a lot of nanoparticulates used in the creation of these toxic plastics, and I think this was very interesting too. Microplastics can attract bacteria found in sewage. Some studies have shown there are more harmful pathogens on microplastics downstream of wastewater treatment plants.
Microplastics are also known to contain and absorb toxic chemicals, and research on wild animals show that they are released in the body. It has become very clear very early on that plastic would release those chemicals, and that actually the conditions in the gut would facilitate really quite rapid release.
Yeah, it says microplastics are found in over 1/3 of the fish caught in the UK. Wow. So, we pretty much have to, extrapolate that into...
And of course, I knew it was in the oceans, and I really didn't think about the fresh water, but apparently if it's coming out of our taps, it's coming out of our aquifers, which means it's already in there. This is much more disturbing than...
so listen to this, guys. It's not just about whether or not you're drinking something out of these plastic bottles. Germany found fibers and fragments in all of the 24 beer brands tested, as well as in honey and sugar. So the tap water that's then being used in the processing plants of all these products, it's penetrating that. And they discovered in Paris in 2015 microplastics falling from the air, which they estimate deposit 3 to 10 tons of fibers on the city each year, and that it was present in the air in people's homes. So these microparticles are actually airborne, and we're breathing them, and this may be some of the reasons we're seeing a lot of respiratory issues today.
It's becoming like no matter what we do, we're getting contaminated with something, and this is one of the reasons why we always turn to things that decontaminate us. So let's go on.
It used to be that we didn't. Our bodies were designed to naturally detox, Nico.
Yeah.
But our bodies were never designed to have to try and survive in the toxic soup that we live in today.
Overloaded.
We're overloaded. Yeah. And if you do not help yourself detox, if you aren't doing proactive things, saunas, homeopathics, healing foods, lymphatic movement, breathing air and helping the lungs to expel things, you're going to get into trouble.
Yeah, and buying water out of the gallon jugs now becomes a real problem. Not only is it in a plastic jug, but the other thing is it coming from a tap somewhere?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back on the break, how microplastics end up in drinking water, and what we really think is going on and what we can do about it. So stay tuned.
Yep. Time to pick up some Primal Edge, folks. $89 gets it to your door, giving you over 310 organic, cell-ready, liquid ingredients powered by humic and fulvic acid, the things that open up your cells and let the good stuff in.
And the bad stuff out.
Exactly. We'll be
right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. We'll continue our article on water, but we got a caller from Tampa. Tom from Tampa has a question about thyroid. Hey, Tom.
Morning, Tom.
Hey, Paige, Nico, how you guys doing today?
Good morning.
Good. Hey, what is a good number to look for on a thyroid? What's a good reading, and where should a person get concerned? I mean, do you know what type numbers we'd be looking for?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of numbers that you have to look at when you're looking at thyroid. The problem is that much of the lab tests that doctors give us do not give us the whole picture of the thyroid. Very much the same way they order the top of the iceberg. You ever seen that graph where you look at a problem and you see 10% of the problem is the iceberg, but underneath the water is the other 90% of the iceberg? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so same thing with thyroid. Are you talking about your TSH? Because quite frankly, the test that they call a thyroid test, and you and I have talked about this, is the thyroid stimulating hormone test. That's not actually a thyroid hormone. That's a pituitary hormone. The range of the TSH, once you get above 2, it's a sign from an optimal standpoint that the pituitary is sending out a message to produce more thyroid hormone. But we really have to look at the free T3, the active form of the thyroid hormone. Do you have some numbers? Do you have something that you want to share with us, or what's going on?
No, I don't. No, I just my doctor, he was saying, well, your thyroid number is a little high. Then, I changed some things around, and it went back down. I mean, I didn't know men could have problems with their thyroid, but I guess they can.
We hear so many about women in the thyroid because thyroid hormone and estrogen are really involved, but they certainly can. In today's stressful world, one of the things, you and I have discussed this because we've talked offline, we have to look at the other numbers, and I'm glad to hear that it's improved. Perhaps some of the things, getting more selenium, upping that primal edge to help detoxify, but many times stress can impact the thyroid, and mineral deficiencies such as iodine and selenium. So we have to make sure our doctors are ordering the right lab test to really see what's going on with the thyroid. You cannot make a decision on thyroid sufficiency with just the TSH test.
He was asking me, he said, "Do you feel tired or fatigued?" I said, "No, I don't." And he's asked me, so I guess that's one of the symptoms they look for.
Right.
And,
I think that we want to look closely at, are we converting? We have a lot of people that have what we call hypothyroidism type 3, not recognized by, or type 2, not recognized by mainstream medicine. It's where our cell receptors are not picking up the thyroid hormone, and we're not converting it because of mineral deficiency. But I think you had some numbers that were a little off, but I think you're heading in the right direction. Let's you and I talk about that more, because I'd like an update. I remember when we were looking at that. First thing I like to suggest is that people look at increasing their selenium. And selenium is a major mineral in helping us to detoxify. And just as we talked, Nico, the fluoride in the water, a lot of new research coming out. Literally, mainstream article came out on, my least favorite network, CNN, that said, IQs are being affected and energy of children based on the water fluoridation. I mean, those of us that have been screaming about fluoridation, fluoride takes up the cell receptor where iodine is supposed to go. And if iodine can't go in there, we can't deiodinize it, and then you don't produce as much thyroid. So.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Really appreciate your call.
Okay, guys. You have a good day now.
Okay.
Appreciate
great.
it, Tom.
Thyroid was always very confusing for me, and I'm glad that you're here to answer those questions. And anybody else wants to know about functions in the body, about vitamins and minerals, highly encourage you to see Paige or
Well, you know what it really is, Nico, is we really have to take responsibility. I call it the new self-care discovery, because we're getting part of the information. And for many people, they're either getting undiagnosed and undertreated for thyroid, or they're being treated in the wrong way. And I like what Tom just said. He said the doctor asked him if he was feeling tired and blah, 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 and he said no. The old doctors that I think were the ones that really were right on it, they went by symptoms. And for a lot of people, their doctor says, oh, your thyroid numbers are fine. And the people go, but I'm tired, I'm heavy, I'm lethargic, I have no eyebrows on the outer 1/3 of my eyebrows. And then those people were left untreated. So it's a little dance, but we'll make sure Tom's doing well. I think.
So we were talking earlier about the plastics that are in the water, and how these little small particles of plastic end up in drinking water for now is a mystery, they say, but the atmosphere is one obvious source, with fibers shed by everyday wear, a tear of clothing, carpets, tumble dryers are another potential source, with almost 80% of U.S. households using dryers that vent to the open air.
It's crazy. I mean, we have plastics everywhere. They're being flushed into the water systems, and literally it said that each cycle of a washing machine could release 700,000 fibers.
Seems like the more we do, the more we pollute.
Rain could be sweeping up the microplastic pollution, and this could explain why wells used in Indonesia were found to be contaminated.
Yeah, in Beirut, Lebanon, the water supply comes from natural springs, but 94% of the samples were contaminated. This research only scratches the surface, but it seems to be an itchy scratch for sure.
Well, that brings us back to the whole idea of we really don't know what our water is being exposed to as it gets to us. So filtering and cleaning it at the source becomes an even more important thing. Yep. Using products like our friends Theragoods.com, use something.
Yeah, Burka is a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of good solutions out there. And I think the important part for me is this, what you just said, Paige, is that you have to do it at your source. In other words, your source, at the tap. You have to have something else there. So
you really don't know what's been going on.
Right.
And as we go from looking at it in the atmosphere, here's another article that was also in The Guardian. Obviously, the reporter's kind of on a trail with this. Sea salt around the world is contaminated by plastic, studies show. Well, we know sea salt's in the oceans. This would be no surprise, but again, this causes pause as to what's going on. Sea salt around the world has been contaminated by plastic pollution, adding to experts' fear that microplastics are becoming ubiquitous in the environment and finding their way into the food chain via the salt from the ocean.
Yeah, and it's in the seafood we eat, the beer we drink, and the salt we use. Plastics are just about everywhere. This is really, of course, we have talked about the types of salts that we use. This comes from ancient beds where there is no plastic.
That's very true.
So, a lot of people are still using the sea salt, and this is one reason I would move away from the sea salt. The same thing as we move away from the tap water. We need an extra barrier there. So the only way we're going to get decent salt now is from those ancient beds, not from the sea anymore.
Well,
unless there's some way they can find to get it out of there. But these particles are so small, Paige. They're
well, let's face it. I kind of believe that if it's in the salt, it's in our food anyways. I mean, it's just going to be a very hard thing to do. Again, we need to make sure that our bodies are capable of binding. I like the idea of using binders today that bind these petrochemicals and help our body eliminate them so they don't get lodged into organs and create endocrine disruption, because most petrochemicals are endocrine. The thyroid is an endocrine gland. The sex hormones are endocrine glands. So, yeah, it's something we've got to be taking a look at. But in the meantime, we're going to get back with you after this short break on other healthy things you can use to stay healthier, wealthier, live longer, and stronger.
We'll be right back.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back to the show. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was just before the storm, we were talking about this article about carbon dioxide. The increase was making the algae grow. Remember that experiment? And he found that the algae had doubled in size, but the nutrients were the same as when it was smaller.
So obviously not getting as much raw materials to make as nutrient-dense food.
Yeah, it's getting the air, but it's not getting the nutrients. In other words, the nutrients go up. The nutrients obviously aren't in the air that much. This other story I found was that up to 40% of decrease in nutrients in our foods. And this is talking about generations of farming relying on the use of chemicals has rendered American farm ground sterile and literally lifeless, unable to hold either nutrients or water. Or the problem and the problem says that the UN says this is a great threat to human health.
Sure, it is.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, soil experts are realizing that bare ground between rows of crops increases not just topsoil erosion, but fertilizer and other chemical runoffs into water supplies. And they're also examining the implications of CO2's role in declining nutrition.
Yeah. Researchers have begun fighting harmful bacteria such as salmonella by spreading the bacteria on crops as a way to prevent regular outbreaks of food poisoning. So what they're giving us mini doses of salmonella? Is that that's what it sounds like?
By spreading, it says
by spreading the bacteria on crops.
They didn't say the bacteria, by spreading bacteria. So they're trying to maybe counteract salmonella with another bacteria.
Doesn't say
Three
which.
recent historical food composition data studies found that as much as 40% and even more of minerals and plant-based foods have been depleted by substandard soils. Well, this is no surprise, folks. This is one of the reasons when Nico and I were looking for a kind of a show hallmark product, we were very interested in bringing the fulvic and humic minerals, which are from ancient soils, because we don't take care of our soil, and health begins in the soil. If you have $100 in your bank account and you take out 90, you're going to be out of coins in a very short period of time, and that's what we do with our soil. There's really over 90 key minerals in the soil, and we grow crops ignoring how our ancestors taught us to harvest food, and then we just add back 3 NPK fertilizer. So we've got a mineral imbalance, and what's happening in the soil transitions into our bodies.
That's exactly right. It's he said the Cobb, who's one of the researchers, realized he was seeing not just an exhibit on soil types, but the potential for a new way of farming philosophy, made an instant decision to stay on his farm. Now, this guy had a farm, and he was going to leave the farming business.
Yeah, this is from an article in Politico. It tells about this young generational farmer, Jonathan Cobb.
Right.
And he made the decision to quit farming because he realized using an increasing amounts of chemicals and herbicides and fertilizers were really making a mess.
Yeah, so this experiment is a side-by-side comparison, contrasted the startling difference between the different types of unhealthy soil and healthy soil. A clump of soil from a heavily tilled and cropped field was dropped into a wire mesh basket at the top of a glass cylinder filled with water. At the same time, a clump of soil from a pasture that grew a variety of plants and grasses that hasn't been disturbed for years was dropped into another wire mesh basket in an identical glass cylinder.
So what happened? The tilled soil, similar to the dry brown soil on Cobb's farm, dissolved in water like dust. The soil from the pasture stayed together in a clump, keeping its structure and soaking up the water like a sponge. This is how we know communication in the soil. And if it, when we did that interview, Steve and I did from Healthy Fit Club with Dr. Zach Bush about how communication of the microbes is crucial. You could almost picture this like an army. These microbes realize, hey, if we play together, we'll stay together. Let's communicate and hold this army together.
Yeah, the American Indians thought it was silly for turning the soil over. They said it was kind of like if you wanted to improve your skin, you'd take your skin and just turn it inside out. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And nowhere in nature does this go on. What does go on is a nice symbiotic relationship between the grasslands and the woodlands, and that relationship changes depending on the temperature, the amount of water. It naturally happens. We know that the wild food, or the wild plants and animals out there are much more nutritious. They find their own food. They survive because they have to. Whereas when we plant something in the ground and take care of it, it is surviving because we're helping it. It's not having that nice wild part of it that makes it survive. So the survival instinct for the plant kind of goes away. Less nutrition because the soil is depleted. And, we're talking now earlier about the plastics that's in the water, in the air. Of course, it's in the soil also. So
well, this Jonathan Cobb, he's a perfect example of the new breed of farmer who's being a part of the paradigm shift. And what paradigm shift am I talking about? Trending in agriculture today is a new viewpoint that may be turning from a push for productivity to one that emphasizes the environment and human health. How great is that? We need these new breed of farmers.
Yeah, generations of reliance on and insistence on the use of chemicals has rendered farm ground across the U.S. dry and literally lifeless, unable to hold either nutrients or water. A lot of it gets washed away.
Exactly, and this negatively impacts not only farmers, but our food supply, and it's trickling down. And ultimately, our health, in many ways, may never recover from this lack of nutrition, folks. We are on a de-evolutionary standpoint,
no doubt about
quite
it,
frankly. Drifting topsoils laden with chemical residue is even causing respiratory illnesses in the United States and in rural areas. These pesticides, along with these plasticides, and they're all petrochemicals. They all have the same root, and they're leaching into the drinking water, and they've exposed thousands to the level that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency deems troubling.
Yeah, in fact, the water that 210 million Americans drink is contaminated with nitrate, a routinely used
fertilizer
chemical, linked with cancer.
And it's linked to cancer and serious developmental problems in children. We have an imbalance. So if we have an imbalance in the soil, we're going to have an imbalance in these minerals. So that's why we like to say, make sure you're getting some support of balancing those minerals.
Yeah, if that wasn't bad enough, instead of retaining carbon, soil depletion is releasing carbon, which morphs into the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide, which is considered by the UN to be a grave threat to human health.
Yeah, okay,
exactly.
So we know that we don't really trust the United Nations, but
well, it's the CO2 has never been a pollutant. They call it a pollutant.
For God's sake, plants use CO2 to make oxygen for us.
Carbon monoxide.
It only makes sense, folks, if you don't think about it. Yeah. And that's what we've got is a bunch of lack of
carbon monoxide is the poison.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we are producing carbon monoxide with some of our machines and so forth, but, kind of comes back to that's a little bit of disinformation to get us off the track on what's really happening, which is solar change is affecting our weather and our climate, but we digress. So it's not, it's sterile and depleted soil that's at the root of this problem. Not just the scientific community, but an increasing percentage of the general population beginning to understand many of the foods we've counted on for highest nutrition are becoming as depleted as the soil they grow on.
Yep. What's not depleted is our show, so we're going to go on right after the break. We'll be right back.
Us.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Tom O'Brien has just announced that he'll be coming to Boston September 30th for a free workshop, The Art of Timing the Trade. Join Tom O'Brien Saturday morning, September 30th at the Boston Marriott in Burlington, Massachusetts, as he breaks down his trading methodology and provides you with the tools to become a more successful and profitable trader. Everyone that attends in person will receive a free signed copy of Tom's best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System. Daryl Martin from Apex Investing Institute will also be presenting for 90 minutes at this free event.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Join me in Boston on September 30th as I return to my hometown for a workshop about the art of timing the trade. I look forward to seeing all the tigers and tigresses for this special free event.
All action starts early at 7:30 a.m. with a continental breakfast and wraps up at about 1 p.m. Topics that Tom will be covering during his presentation include quality volume, cause and effect, ABC structures, swing points, and much, much more. For all the information on this free Boston event taking place Saturday, September 30th, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
So we're talking about soil health and what it means for sustainable agriculture. One study noted that nearly 3 billion of the world's population is malnourished due to diminishing nutrient elements and vitamins in the plant-based food. It shows 3 areas pointing to the sharp decrease in the nutrients of plant-based food, and this is in the U.S. and the U.K.
Yeah, they found that, number one, early studies on fertilization found a link between crop yield and mineral concentrations. This is kind of known as the dilution effect.
Yeah.
And 3 recent studies of historical food composition data reported decreasing amounts from 5 to 40% or more in some minerals in certain vegetables and possibly fruits. One study examined vitamins and proteins with similar result. In other words, the food we're producing is devoid, the nutrients are nearly half.
Yeah. Number 3 is side-by-side plantings of low and high-yield broccoli and grain cultivars revealed consistently negative links between yield and concentrations of minerals and protein.
So the more they produce, the less nutrition. They're depleting it, the genetic dilution effect. So, it seems like we're unable to pull away from the practice put in place to yield lots of food for the quote-unquote global food security.
Well, this also
and they call fertilizers a necessary evil, but we're finding out that soil health is crucial. For it to be sustainable.
So is this part of the reason why people are getting heavier? They have to eat more in order to get the same nutrition. Your body automatically makes you eat more.
Most people that are obese are seriously nutritionally deficient. Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is, too, being on this paleo trip, this type of eating that we've been doing for the past decade or so, makes me think that the animal food probably has a similar effect. In other words, a little bit of a decrease in the vitamins and things.
It's got to be a full circle.
Yeah. But I still think that the animal food is so much more dense that you have to eat less of that.
Well, because you've got your fat-soluble nutrition, which is your most important nutrition.
Yeah, so that's why I'm really pushing this type of diet. The animal food, good, clean, healthy animal food, is going to impact you a lot less of this type of decrease in the vitamins and minerals. Of course, taking supplementation, I think, is crucial these days, and that's why we brought out the Primal Edge. And like we said before, before, the types of salts and the types of water that you're drinking in the other segments that we were talking about. It's crucial to your health to do this. So it's so important that you have to realize that our food is not what it used to be. Not only do we have to pick the best and purest food we can, whether you're eating plants or animals, it doesn't really make any difference. You have to go for the best. And the other thing is, too, you have to have the great water, you have to have great salt. And by doing that and then using some of the techniques that we discussed, like the detoxifications that happens in the Primal Edge, using saunas, using various different types of detoxification is essential to be healthy today. I don't think you can get away from that.
Mm-hmm. Well, really what we have to realize, too, is this goes beyond just the nutrition, the minerals and the vitamins, but into the microbial. Because just as we know our bodies, we are really host to a plethora of microbes, so is the soil. Yeah. So the vitamins and minerals and the microbes are there. They're there to work in unison. They're there to communicate and break down and build up and distribute. And much of what we're seeing, the disruption in the microbes in the soil, is also the macrocosm, microcosm thing we see in the disruption in our guts. Yeah. And not having the proper
And what
balance.
I'm picturing, this little small apple or a small tomato that we used to have has the same nutritional value as that large apple and the large tomato and anything else you want to do with it. Mm-hmm. So it has the same nutrition, it's just that you're eating more calories.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really probably not good. I mean,
so
we need
really
calories.
Working on encouraging these microbial communities to help maximize the nutrition in the soil. Scientists are beginning to recognize evidence that plants' health depends on these favorable microbes, and they believe a core root microbiome has evolved with terrestrial plants over 400 million years. And because plants are stationary, microbial communities assist with plants, and they have to be primarily drawn from the environment. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, increasingly farmers want to capitalize on the beneficial microbials to support their crops, and science can assist the design of effective crop probiotics to make crops healthier, hardier, and more production by increasing their resilience to pests, diseases, environmental stresses, and improved access to nutrients.
So it really is, again, that's so important. We've got to make sure that there's great communication happening.
Yeah, and by getting the soil back to normal, then our crops will come back to normal. This is kind of what she's saying in there. Science is going to help us do that, but also remember some of the science has destroyed some of this by using these, sciences came up with all these chemicals and...
Right, let's talk about this. This is interesting. Okay. An outbreak of, let me give you an example of how they're using the microbial revolution to make up for this nutrient deficiency. There were outbreaks of salmonella from eating raw tomatoes, and they were once an annual problem for public health officials all along the East Coast. Right. And while they're not huge outbreaks, whether they make only one person or 100 people ill, food poisoning can kill the elderly or very young people. So there was a director of microbiology at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, began wondering why it kept happening on the East Coast and not on the opposite side of the continent. And when researchers scrutinized the microbiome of the soil, they found that strains of bacteria in the East Coast soil were less dense in comparison with those in the soil of the West Coast, where tomatoes were also grown.
Yeah, West Coast tomatoes, it turned out, grow in the company of soil bacteria that inhibit and even kill salmonella. In a pilot study in Virginia, the FDA had been brewing up some populations of one of these local bacteria, spraying them onto tomato seedlings and getting the same salmonella
effect on the crop, and,
right.
and the bacteria that they sprayed was Panobacillus.
So this is what they were talking about earlier. When they're using
realizing that the microbes, and the parallel here, folks, for you to take from this is we have the same thing in our gut. We have good bugs and bad bugs, and sometimes the good bugs are there, or even sometimes a bad bug can be a good bug in eliminating an even worse bug. So we really need to have this communal power of the microbes that help us assimilate the nutrition. So adding bacteria to crops to prevent such disease may be the key for developing food safety far beyond tomatoes, Nico.
Yeah, this is where science can kind of mimic what the ancient world used to do automatically.
This little understood microbial community or agrobiome has brought key revelations into how the natural health of the soil is dependent on as many as 40,000 microbe species in a single gram of soil. And so they're doing DNA sequencing of soils now, just like we're doing DNA sequencing of our gut microbiome.
Yeah, as a greater understanding is reached in regard to how soil microbes optimize the nutrients in plants, not just grow bigger food and more of it. Scientists are seeing how plants and soil microbes complement each other.
Ditto.
Unlike the green revolution that took place in the 1960s and 70s, where fertilizers and pesticides were the bywords, it's more like the microbial revolution is a transformation,
transformative restoration. That's what we want. We want to be more nutrient dense. We want to be more nutrient dense in our soil so we can have more nutrient density in our bodies. I like it.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Pick up some Primal Edge. Help that communication. It's full of humic acids. Help your microbes and the nutrients in your food and in the Primal Edge work together so you can be healthier.
That's right. And also pick up the Health Signals newsletter. 2 issues, gets it to your door twice a month. There's one coming out on Tuesday, so be ready for that.
Be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Welcome back to the show. Since we've been talking about all these pollutants and plastics and everything, I thought I'd go over some of the benefits of the infrared sauna therapy, because this is probably the first thing that you should do is, on a daily basis or at least a few times a week, do some sauna therapy. It's getting less and less expensive with the TheraGoods method you have. Or
the Thera 360 or the light system you've set up, whatever it is, find a way to use infrared, because why? Many of us are not exposed to the infrared spectrum. Come wintertime, it's harder to get exposure to the infrared. So you can actually increase your detoxification, your relaxation, and increase your circulation by using sauna. And you can burn a lot of calories without the added pressure that you apply to your joints and muscles. And it really could be the missing link into, this along with, with cold therapy.
Yep.
So I want to, having been really becoming a mitochondriac following Jack Kruse, I think we need that cold exposure. And let me just, before we go on, you and I are Northern Europeans.
Yep.
Both of us. Did I bring that up last time, that I got my DNA thing back?
Yeah, I think, well, you mentioned it to me. I don't know if we mentioned it on the air.
Yeah, so I'm mostly Northwestern European, primarily English and Irish, and you're Dutch. But again, when it gets dark, our body is used to cold. And here we live in Florida. We're near the equator. We're not getting the...
Feels pretty nice to me.
Yeah. But we're not getting what our DNA, even though we've evolved to love it, our DNA evolved in a cold environment.
Yeah.
And that cold environment tells us to burn our fat for fuel.
Yeah,
so we have
really,
to use these cold shocks. So we're going to integrate that. But let's go on with the saunas
the
now.
other thing I must say is I live in Florida here, and in the morning, when I take a warm shower, and then at the end, I just kind of sit for 5 minutes underneath the cold. So
That's
I turn
good.
everything out. Now, it's not as cold as it would be up north, but it's in the 70-degree mark.
Well, come in the winter, we can get some cold water.
It's
but
the
summer
contrast
stuff.
that really makes the difference.
Yeah, true.
So it does feel cold to me, and it's invigorating, and I think it does help my immune system. So
6 benefits of infrared sauna therapy, folks. The first one is detoxification.
Yeah. Second one is relaxation. That's really important. Third one, you don't think of it that often, but it really helps me after jiu-jitsu, is for pain relief.
It's a super way. We know that heat is effective in helping us to relieve our pain.
It's anti-inflammatory.
It sure is.
Yeah.
And weight loss. You burn up to, I don't know, I've seen different things, but you can burn roughly 600 calories in a 30-minute sauna session. Very easy. It's a great time to just maybe, catch up on a book.
That's more calories than going on a treadmill for 60 minutes.
And you're getting that light stimulation of infrared. Remember, you can't see infrared, but it's a spectrum of light that's extremely healing.
Yeah.
Our cells love it.
It also improves the circulation. Aside from the heat, it increases your core body temperature. Your circulation will increase along with it. Consistent infrared sauna sessions, especially the middle range level, can stimulate blood flow, improve muscle recovery, and decrease pain and inflammation.
And
after
finally,
intense.
number 6, skin purification. When we sweat, a great way to get stuff out of us is to sweat. Our skin is our largest organ and also our best detoxification organ.
Yep.
Infrared sauna technology can purify your skin by eliminating skin impurities and those toxins that our body needs to release.
Yeah. Now, there's 3 different levels they classify: near, middle, and far infrared. And these they represent 3 different types of wavelengths and refer to the intensity of the treatment. Most people find that near infrared levels are best for wound healing and increasing immune function. Number 2, the middle infrared levels are ideal for increasing circulation and promoting muscle relaxation.
Yeah, and finally, far infrared levels are used primarily for detoxification purposes. I think it's great if you can find a sauna solution that gives you all 3 of the infrared spectrum so you can get all of those benefits.
Yeah, really, really important these days to detoxify, to get rid of these things that are in our air, in our water, in our soil, and in us.
Take back your health, folks. Learn the new healthcare is self-care, and we're here to help. We'll see you next show.
Thanks a lot for sticking around.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.